The following program is intended for an adult audience. It is separate from my work or that of any guest with any other entity. Welcome to the Education Upgrade Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Schulke. To support this podcast, please subscribe on YouTube and check out the links in the description. For their part, teachers know that gaining a student's trust requires careful responses to mistakes and vulnerabilities. Teachers recognize that mistakes are not only important to learning, but learning cannot occur without mistakes. Whether studying the Pythagorean theorem, the proper method to analyze a primary document, time management, conducting a lab experiment, or hitting a ball. And therefore, teachers expect, and the best ones demand, that their students make mistakes, because those mistakes create opportunities for students to grow from their misconceptions and misunderstandings. Teachers actually depend on students taking risks and revealing mistakes in order to help them. Teachers can't correct mistakes or misconceptions that students don't reveal. But this mechanism only works if students trust the teacher enough to reveal mistakes. Therefore, they try to create classrooms where risks are encouraged and mistakes are normal, expected, and valuable. That's from Grading for Equity by Joe Feldman. And I'm here again with Miss Morgan Torres-Unger.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks for coming back.
Of course. These are the good things. These are the things that, affect my day-to-day as well. So It's good to be able to chat it out and have a justification for what I'm doing. Be able to explain where I'm coming from. So
awesome. I'm sorry I had to take a couple weeks off.
Yeah, a little bit. I got the vid, y'all.
Got that dirty Rona.
Yes, but we're on the up and up now. Just getting the energy level back up.
How many days off work did you end up having to take?
So the cool part about it is that I actually got sick right before we went onto a fall break. So I had about 3 days that I was off, and then I had my fall break.
And then you had fall break.
Yes.
And you were sick for the majority of your fall break.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was I would say the first part of my fall break, I was not feeling too hot. And then the second part of my fall break, I was just trying to get my energy back up. So not too bad. Not too terrible.
Well, you seem mostly yourself today. Other than locking your keys in your car.
Oh my God. It happened one time.
Sorry to call you out. It happened one time, like an hour ago.
It really did. And just so that we know, oh my God, Miss Morgan, don't you have spare keys? Let me just tell you about my spare keys, you guys. They were in my car, so.
You didn't have to volunteer that.
And I'm done.
Yeah.
That's all.
Where's your spare key?
Yeah.
It's in the car with the.
It sure is.
With the key.
Yes. There's a good reason for it, I swear.
A compassionate reason.
It really
very
is.
Human reason.
I put, sometimes if I have my dogs on a trip, I will, and not able to bring them into a destination, I'll keep them locked in my car with one set of keys, and then the spare will come with me so that they're comfortable and safe in an AC climate, environment.
Keep the AC going.
Gotta love the babies.
Yeah.
But anyways.
All right.
Here we grow.
Here we grow.
Yeah, like our grading practices, right? Ooh,
yeah.
Let's change some
Is
stuff
that what
up,
Is that what we're talking about? We're not talking about our personal lives?
Oh, we can absolutely talk about our personal lives as long as we continue moving forward from my keys in my car.
Okay. We are superhuman people, and fatigue is real. Mental fatigue is real.
Honestly, I was tired. I was thinking about, let me get my book. Let me make sure that, I have my pen. Oh my gosh, I'm such a great student. Lock my door because I'm so safe.
It really was a good feel. I wasn't being facetious when I said, man, that felt really good to have a problem that I could solve.
Good.
Because after having parent-teacher conferences today and the things, the stresses of the job.
Yes.
To go I can solve this. And it requires something I know how to do, but I can do it.
And the green, big dopamine check mark that happens as soon as you complete it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Again, thank you.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to burglarize your car.
Thank you so much. It's a little bit too easy also. Incredibly concerning.
Now you know. For my YouTube tutorial on how to break into a Jeep Wrangler.
Stay tuned. Link in bio.
Link in bio. If I did that, should I hashtag it with like the Schulke science hashtag?
100%.
No P.
There was some brainstorming. We went through a couple different processes going on. It was awesome.
Thank goodness we can enter this with some humor. This is like serious business.
Yes.
Preparing for these episodes, I reread. I'll read the paper book, read and re-listen to the chapter before we talk about it, just to put it back fresh in my mind, because I've read the book like a couple times through now, but to listen to it with a little bit of new perspective and a little bit of new experience, like I have more and more reactions to it. It becomes more and more true to me, and I think about kids I have right now, and I'm like, oh yeah, you have the trust thing, 100%. If these kids didn't trust that it was safe to make a mistake, we would not be getting the results we are right now.
Definitely.
And how can I increase it even more? What kids don't have that level of trust yet? What could I be doing better for those few? It's something to think about. How's grading going with you? We haven't talked since before you got the Rona.
It is going well. I say it's going well. We are going to have parent-teacher conferences and finish up our first trimester here in the next couple weeks. So I will definitely report back on how well it all went, at least what I think.
TBD.
Yes. Stay tuned all. But so far, at least in regards to the justification for all the grades that I've given so far, which have been through assessments, I have not had a lot of pushback from parents.
That's great.
It's been really cool. It's all been like, here, let me lay it out. Let me explain to you what we're doing. I try and I front load the families of like, hey, your kid's going to take a test that, at the end of this week. This is what some of the questions look like. Go ahead and chat with them over dinner.
Nice.
So that they can study if they have the opportunity and prep and work with those adults in their lives and whatnot. And the whole accountability train of like, okay, we're working towards something collectively. If we're all working together, it's a little bit easier to digest a grade rather than all of the responsibility on one entity or person or project or,
Totally. Yeah.
It's been positive so far, at least in how it's been received.
And the fact that you're reaching out with first step communication, like you're choosing to communicate with families in a form that you don't have to. Like you don't have to reach out in this way and update them about where you're at in your curriculum with the kids, or give them like talk at home kind of questions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we've never talked about this before, have we?
No.
But like I'm doing the same thing. I have like Mr. Schulke's science talk at home emails.
Perfect.
And now I'm using our, we use an app. The school uses a messaging app.
Okay.
That's linked to our like, management system where we do attendance and grade book and all that.
Oh, cool.
It's linked to the same program. So the parents will get an email even if they're not signed up.
Good.
So it's able to reach a lot of parents, and I'll send home like every week or two, send home like 5 questions about what we're doing, because they're teenagers.
Yeah.
They're 12, they're 13, they're 14. What'd you do at school today? I don't know.
I don't care.
What'd you learn? Nothing. Like, okay.
Every single time.
Instead of that, here's a question like, hey, what's the difference between potential energy and kinetic energy? Boom. Dinner table conversation.
Yes.
How does a roller coaster work?
Oh.
Ooh. Can they explain it and sound like they know what they're talking about?
Cool.
If so, they might be ready for our assessment. And just that little bit of voluntary communication, it really seems to make the families feel a lot more comfortable and feel like you are on the same team.
Totally. And also like aware of how hard some of the material is that we are covering and going over. Like straight up, I do homework myself as a professional educator of my 7th year of teaching. I relearn the concepts that I cover with my students to make sure that I know my stuff in and out. And when I deliver some of this information to parents and they're like, girl, I don't remember doing it this way. And I'm like, I am right there with you. Like that this was not the way that I learned it either. So exactly, having that open transparency, they're like, 1, appreciative, and 2, a little bit more gracious with how they respond to grades. If it's difficult for them, how hard is it for your baby, Right. So that has been a nice little reflection as well so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I found that a lot of parents, like, when they already believe that you're on their side, and then you explain it in a way that makes sense, explain the why in a good way, in a reasonable way.
Fair, yeah.
Then they're like, oh, so it sounds like it's going to be more fair, but also more rigorous.
Hard.
But in a way that they can totally do with less stress somehow. Yep. All of that's true.
Yep.
Just by changing the way that I assemble the class grade, like, they're less anxious, they're less nervous, they take more risks, they're way more honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they actually tend to learn way better, and I'm able to measure with a lot of accuracy how well they know something.
Yes.
And really know that, like, they get it to this degree.
Because you said you only grade how many assignments?
So we do like little quizzes, and I call them diagnostics.
Okay.
And I'll try to do like, one of those a week minimum.
Cool.
Like just a formative assessment. Like, where are you at with this topic? Like, we've done 2-3 lessons on this one micro topic.
Okay.
Can you answer 2 questions about it on a Google form?
Got it.
And get them right. And they know now, every time we start a diagnostic, they come in, they see the board. Oh, diagnostic, guys, diagnostic. Get your Chromebooks out. And I ask them, like, guys, is this going to hurt your grade? Nope. Are you going to get a score on it? Yup. Then what's the score for? To know if we get it yet.
Yep.
Bingo.
Yep.
Nailed it. This is for you, bud. These are data for your brain.
Yes.
To know if you're learning it or not. I mean, also, it's mostly for me to know how many kids are there so far. Because if half the class doesn't get it yet, I'm not doing my job well enough.
Exactly. What adjustments do we need to make?
Yeah.
That's our responsibility.
Do we just need more time on this topic? Do I need to teach it in a different way? What parts of it didn't you get? And sometimes after those diagnostics, we have the best conversations because the kids will straight up tell me what lessons landed for them and what didn't.
Got it.
Like, guys, we covered this for a few days. What part of that was the most helpful? Oh, well, when we did this. Okay, cool. What was the least helpful? Honestly, I didn't understand when you were talking about this. Like, you stood up and you talked about stuff, and I just kind of spaced out because I didn't know what you were talking about. Good feedback, man. Okay. Note to self. Talk less. Smile more.
Yes.
Give them independent, investigative work to do. Support them. Facilitate them. Direct instruction doesn't mean whole class instruction. And little tweaks like that. The kids are so smart.
They really are. They really are. It's providing the environment that they feel comfortable enough to show it.
Totally. They know how they learn. They get it. They totally get it.
Because anytime something's broken at home or they have to fix something and they don't have the allowance or the money to, take care of it, they are incredibly ingenious with some of the,
Oh, yeah.
crafts and things that they're able to make, break, fix.
If they have a growth mindset and they can creatively problem solve, then yes, they will do some remarkable stuff. Making sure the climate control doesn't go on and get all noisy in here.
Got it.
I feel bad. I want to go back and remaster the audio of episode I did with Rudy Escobar when we talked about AI, because the AC was just blowing full blast because my AC went out right before he came over. And so the whole house got up to like 85.
Dang.
He came
crisp.
over and I was just sweating. I was in a tank top because I just got done fixing the air conditioner while he was on his way. And it just kicked back on. And so the thing's just blowing loud the whole time. And to get that noise edited out so it didn't sound like we were in a wind tunnel, really degraded the quality of the audio.
Got it.
So I think that's just something I need to learn more of the tricks of the software, or maybe try a different editing software to eliminate specific sounds and noises. And hey, if you're a sound engineer,
and you
leave
know
a
something,
comment, shoot me a DM, help me out, hook me up.
Absolutely.
I'm new to this.
We're here to learn too.
I'm just learning. I want to talk about how the grading's going.
Okay.
With me. Sorry, that was a weird pause.
No, you're okay.
I thought that I was making progress with members of my team at school.
Okay.
Like the other science teachers at my school. I thought we were on the right track of, people seem to like buy into this. You've seen me do it for a year. You seem to understand some of the why. It seems like something we could all do together. Like, you know, our syllabi should probably align pretty well. Grade books, like, we are the science department. Should we not be doing things scientifically?
Yes.
Based on empirical evidence and not simply feelings.
Yes.
And I thought we were headed that direction, but without having studied the book on their own and understanding, like, well, when this comes up, this is what you do. Which really don't need to know that. You just need to really, really understand the why to come up with your own solutions.
Yes. Because they'll come naturally.
Yeah, they'll come. When you get the why, the solutions are like, oh, I'll just do this. And strangely, those solutions that you land on, in my experience so far, involve more thought but less work with better results.
Okay.
Which is weird. Like, solution to a problem is like, well, why are you grading that to begin with? What is that for? How is that? How is the kid responding to that? How are the students thinking about that activity, that thing? Should it be graded? So what are you stressing about then? Do you think the kids will learn from it more if you figure out how to score it? And the answer is always like, no, man. The kids, just like this chapter says, when the kids trust you, they will dig in.
Absolutely. And if you make everything out of points, that's a game we can play.
And it becomes a game.
Absolutely.
It becomes a game.
Strategies and shortcuts.
Yeah, strategies and shortcuts, exactly, when it is a game. This chapter, it's brief. It's like 9 pages.
Yeah.
9-10 pages. And but it really starts getting into a good feel for how the book is, because he quotes a lot of books and a lot of research and a lot of studies in this really brief thing. So the chapter 3 is titled How Traditional Grading Stifles Risk-Taking and Supports the, quote, Community of Grades, end quote. And that's exactly what it's about. It gives really good evidence for how traditional grading, historical grading, this percentages, points, proportions, weighted categories, method of grading, like, really does, when you grade everything, really stifles risk-taking.
Totally.
When everything affects the course grade, which the students see as a label of their success, worth,
Points
ability.
are personal.
Points can, oh my God,
They're
yeah.
so personal. That is a measurement, right? And to measure constantly minuscule things, standing in line quietly, interacting with our peer, just small, minute, getting compliments from other teachers about your class. Those are performative. All of the behaviors that your kids are giving you are performative. Those are not something that's coming from them. That's Miss So-and-so's coming. All right, everybody get in line.
Right.
That's not coming from, shut up, get in line. Let's get in class.
Yeah.
It feels right. It feels better that way.
It feels better. It helps everybody be safer. It helps things be more orderly. It helps Mr. Schulke not have a pounding headache by the end of the day. Like, care about it. Care about each other. Respect other people. Don't just comply. I don't want obedient lemming people. I don't want to make those, because those people end up working for the creative weirdos.
They're not the critical thinkers, is what they're not.
Totally.
At what point, what are they learning at that point?
Yep. Yeah. Name me a really successful inventor who wasn't a college dropout, who got straight A's in school.
Report back.
Leave your comments.
It's true.
There are some, 100%, but all the ones that are like, that I admire the most, all struggled with grades and with school and believing school had value for the way they know they need to learn.
Yes.
And they all understand risk-taking. Like, this project could flop, and they're the most successful people. Elon's like, yeah, I want to make a rocket that can, like, land and get used again. We might have to blow up like 100 of them to get it right, but we'll just keep blowing them up safely, and we'll keep taking risks and taking risks and taking risks, and we'll learn every time we blow up a rocket. we're going to study the wreckage, and we're going to look at what went wrong, and we're going to have cameras all over the whole thing and figure it out, sensor readings and whatever.
Absolutely.
And that's what a metaphor for the process of learning, man. You got to blow up some freaking rockets.
Totally.
You have to bomb some homework. You got to get some stuff wrong. You have to say, I don't know, when the teacher calls on you.
Yes.
You have to be safe to do that without being ridiculed, without it tanking your grade. You have to have safe failure and safe risk taking to succeed at anything. That's what I love that big quote. It's a great big quote.
It really is.
I could rant all day. This could be our longest episode. Just the safe failure topic, man. It's so important.
100%.
So important.
Yeah. The labeling of everything for points. Also, it's just not reflecting whether or not your kids are learning standard 7-1-M, MA- whatever, right? So if I'm grading you on whether or not you can stand in line, that doesn't tell me two diddlies about my math assessment. That is what, my contract is checking over. I'm a math and science teacher. What math and science do you know? That's what your grade should reflect.
Yeah. We've got tons of other tools to build the other stuff. Behavior, effective behaviors where you actually get it. You're not just complying, like you're actually turning into a better person because you have empathy and you're considerate. That's very different than just follow the rules.
Totally.
Follow the rules when people are watching.
Totally. And I mean, it's a challenge to try and take points out of all of the positive behaviors that we want to reward, right? It's hard to kind of remove that as well. But if you're taking away points and adding points, are you a human that's connecting, or are you a human that is facilitating?
Yeah. Is the only reason students do anything in your class because of extrinsic threats and rewards? Do you function on threats and rewards? You're going to lose points if you ever say that. Your kids don't trust you.
No.
If you're like, you're going to lose points, don't do that. Oh, you lost your whatever points today. You lost your penguin points. You lost your participation points. You lost your whatever.
And there are a lot of kids that take away my points. I don't care. You took them away yesterday too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My points don't mean diddly to this kid.
No.
Nothing.
No.
So they didn't have that confidence at first. And it's not building it by continuously taking away.
Oh, yeah. A kid that already doesn't trust school, already doesn't trust adults. And now you're just like going to threaten them with something abstract. How's that going to help?
Exactly.
The chapter. I told you I could just go on, man. Gets me heated. Gets me feisty.
Which is good. Means you care.
I guess. That's Mike. So the chapter, on the first page, it says, in this chapter we will answer the following questions. And it does. And I'm by no means going to read this whole chapter. Like, read it. Read this one over and over and over and over until you get it.
Yes,
and
you'll need to.
Yeah, and really think about, the front matter questions and then the questions at the end that we'll talk about. You know what I didn't talk about? What are we doing? What's a book study? Why are we even doing this?
Yeah, what's the point? Why does this matter?
Why does it matter to me?
I mean, to anyone.
There's so much information out there. There's so many books. There's so many other podcasts and sources of information out there. There's so much literature that's published on like the science we really know about things that are not covered in a credential program.
Nope.
In my experience so far, things that, once a book comes out, it's not going to be standard curriculum for a long, long time. But the information is out there and there's solutions that, oh my God, I wish I'd known this stuff my first year of teaching.
Yep.
As a teaching intern.
Yep. I wish I was trained this way.
Yeah. Like every class I took in pre-service was a waste of time compared to this one book. And I could add stacks of books to this book of stuff that's way more valuable than anything we did in pre-service.
Yeah.
Pre-service was a checkbox for the state.
Absolutely.
And the credential program was, majority of it was the same. Like we're doing check boxes for the state, aren't we? Like we're gonna, there's so many things I'm curious about and I want to know about.
Yeah.
But we're going through the motions. And by the way, all those classes in pre-service and in the credential program were graded historically.
Of course they were. Yeah. Of course they were. Points.
Everything had points. You're going to do this project that's worth 50 points. And here's this and here's that. And yeah, it makes me question the validity of the whole thing now.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, also when you have those conversations with, I remember when I was in my program too, and I asked teachers that have already been through it, like, how much of this am I going to be using? And they're like, you know what? Not a lot. Not a lot is going to be what you're taking from there. It's real different when you actually step inside a classroom. And for that to be that shocking of a difference, I mean, that's just part of the reason for our teacher retention. This is a huge factor in creating your class, navigating your class, and just overall mastering your class. This is what you have control over.
So far in my limited experience, it seems like the way you grade, the way you assess students has such, like, it's like a spider web crack in a windshield. It just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading. It affects everything. Everything. And you wouldn't think it's a big deal, the grading scale, or how your grade is assembled, or the weights of things in your grade. It makes so much difference because it changes the way you write assessments. It changes the way you structure your lessons and your units. It changes the way you interact with the children in one-on-one interactions, group interactions, the things you say to them, the way you see them. It will change the way you see them.
Absolutely.
100%. It's just a complete perspective shift from a deficit mindset, a deficit lens to, oh, you can all do this. Oh, that's my job. Oh, I have tools to instruct my teaching to show me what I'm doing right and wrong. But I undermine them when I make homework worth points and everything's worth points and this is worth points and participation is worth points and that's worth points. Points undermine the whole thing.
Totally. And
I remember when I changed things in my grading last year and told the students there's no more points. Like our class you don't have to ask how many points is this worth. 0. Nothing has points. This is our scale for how we're going to grade all your tests. You get it, you really get it, you almost get it, you don't get it. That's it. 4, 3, 2, 1. You know, we've got just everything's a category. To just tell me, like, to what degree do you get it so far?
Yeah.
That's all I want to know so far. Also. Because like all our science standards, the NGSS framework's pretty explicit. Like these are all things they're supposed to know by the end of the course.
Yes.
Because it says by the end of the course. So it's something you can keep working on.
Totally.
And you can visit it once and then come visit it again in a later unit on a different, content area, different DCI, disciplinary core idea.
Pacing guides are great, but we can't time learning like how we do right now, and having these points be a part of that just brings them down even more of, I can learn this, but I didn't learn it as fast. It took me a little bit longer. Why am I punished when I learned it later?
The test passed and you didn't study enough for it, so it's your fault.
You didn't know then. You didn't know when I needed you to know.
You didn't know when it was convenient for me because I'm done grading that and moving on to the next lesson and I've put that behind me.
Yep.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible. And I see it in so many colleagues that I think just, are doing what they've always done, what they've always known to do. And for certain, there are things happening in their classroom that help these kids out.
Yeah.
But man, it could just, as soon as you've started changing the way you grade, you notice immediately like, oh, I imagine for anyone, you would see changes right away.
Absolutely. A lot of it is just that they feel like they can breathe.
They feel like they can breathe.
And they show up.
Yeah. If they understand that the point is to learn, and they understand what they're supposed to learn, and it seems accessible and not overly tedious.
Yes.
And you're real with them. Like, pacing guide is one of my trigger words.
It is. It is. I mean, it's
great to have
it's a great thing.
It's great to have a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a goal and where you're headed. But if you teach a standard just enough that barely anybody gets it, and then you move on to the next standard,
mm-hmm.
you've done nothing with that whole unit.
Exactly.
You've wasted that time, essentially.
Exactly.
Almost teaching them.
Yes.
Almost.
Yeah, your job's not just to cover curriculum.
No. If you ever say, oh, we covered that. No. When did they learn it?
Yes.
When did they learn it?
Yes.
When did they, yeah. And that's what the grade should tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Did they learn it? Because then I know when it comes report card time and I see D's and F's, that means there's something I'm not doing right.
Absolutely.
Or there's a kid in a very exceptional situation,
mm-hmm.
which happens.
Totally. In the process of, obtaining paperwork, they might be a new student, whatever that might be, different behavioral and life issues.
Behavioral and life issues, man. Whoa. You and I got the tweens, the middles.
Mm-mm.
They're going through all of it.
All of it and then some.
But at any age, kids are developing and going through stuff that's
hard.
Typical for that age. Not, early puberty is not the only time that kids can have a really hard time with their life.
Yes.
To where thinking about school or thinking at school are just not that accessible.
Mm-hmm.
It can be tough. But those are the kids you want to single out. Like, not the ones that just think your homework's stupid so they don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what a grade's for.
Exactly.
Behavior management. If you're using threats and rewards of the grade as a behavior management tool, that really undermines your grades.
Totally.
The professionalism of the job you do.
And as well, how much command do you really have over a room if it's all based on points?
Oh, if it's all fear-based and it's all threat-based, then you don't.
No.
You don't have engagement or investment.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids are not engaged, and they will not get engaged. They will comply.
Yeah.
Barely.
Mm-hmm.
They will comply enough for you to stop being mean to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And then they will take a 25-minute bathroom break and go vape and forget about you for a minute.
Just for a sec.
Just for a sec.
Right at the end of the period.
Yep.
So that they can make it to the next one.
Yep. On their way to the bathroom, they will stop and dab up all the homies.
Oh, yeah, bruh.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Coordinated toilet breaks are a thing.
Yeah. Wow. They're incredible with...
Well, now they've all got two-way communication devices basically implanted in their bodies.
Yes.
They're
effective.
They're effective. Yeah.
But I definitely have noticed, at least in my class, with still reviewing homework, like we still have assignments and we still do things every single day, regardless of if it's going in the grade book. But I have students, and just about, I would say, between 90 and 95% of my students completing every single activity.
Yeah.
It's not always on my time frame, but it does get done by the time that I need it to, which is at the end of that unit or the end of that trimester, the end of that time, that expected time of learning, so that we can try and make it as, as fair of an opportunity as possible.
Yeah.
Training for the race and having race day be at the end,
Totally.
not in the middle.
Totally. Well, and teaching them that was something that a college instructor taught me. Mm-hmm. Calculus. I was pretty sure coming out of an exam that I had bombed it. And I asked him, I said, you've taken a bunch of math tests in your day. Mm-hmm. And some of them have probably been pretty stressful. How do you deal with that? And this is when I was, a young lower division undergrad, And he said, I'm going to tell you what somebody taught me. That the only thing you should think about is, what's the worst thing that can happen? The hardest part's already done. Mm-hmm. all of the stress of the whole semester of learning this material, that's all behind you. That's the stressful part when you're trying to get yourself to know it. Now we're at the end. All this test does for the next 2 hours is measure how well you know it. That's it. It measures what's already in your brain, which you can't change at this point. It's set. And what's the worst thing that can happen? You retake this class. Okay, a bunch of people retake calculus. Like, a bunch of people retake calculus. A bunch of people change their major because of calculus, but a bunch of people retake it and pass the second time. It's very, very common. It's a very new class, different class. And teaching kids that the time for stress and anxiety, if it's going to happen at all, it might be most valuable while you're trying to learn it the first time. That really is kind of the only time it really has value. Because stress is good for us. A little bit of anxiety to motivate us. Not fearful anxiety, not fear for the future, impending doom, sky is falling, I can't breathe, my hands are numb.
Exactly.
Not that, but nervousness.
Anticipation, something's coming and I need to perform, but I can't perform. Yeah.
And if they have that little bit of stress to motivate them to like, okay, I need to get this. That means I need to put in a little bit of time every day, if possible, to getting this. And if I recognize that the classroom activities and the homeworks and the whatever have value, and the teacher actually carefully designed them to help me learn, and most of the time they do, and sometimes they're not winners. But if initially I think that one's not a winner and I don't do it, it won't hurt my grade. Exactly. It might hurt my understanding.
Yes.
Because if it was valuable and I didn't think so and I didn't trust the teacher, then we might get to the test and realize like, oh, that stuff on that one activity where I was actually just gossiping and not doing my work that whole day in class, that had a lot of value. Or I was distracted because of drama.
Middle school drama? What?
What?
Here? No.
Yeah, man.
Couldn't be us.
I've even, like, kids have straight up said that to me. Like, hey, how's this? I'll talk to a kid, see that they don't have a lot of work done. Hey, how's today's activity going? How's it going for you? And just stare at their blank paper and look them in the face. And they're just like, Mr. Schulke, you don't understand. There's drama. Like,
okay.
All right.
What do we got?
If I point out the fact that the drama seems to be you, that's not going to help us in this moment.
Oof. That's a lot.
We can talk about that later. If you're overwhelmed by drama, you're probably the drama. But instead, let's just, okay, do you need to vent about it? Do you need to take a minute outside? Do you honestly need 5 minutes to just go talk to your friend outside of the classroom and then come in and get something done? Because this is important. And I think you're going to have a harder time doing it as homework than you're going to have doing it right now with me here to help you or your whole team here to help you.
Exactly. I need you to concentrate. How are we going to get there?
Yeah, I need you to concentrate. You need you to concentrate.
Yes.
This is going to be on the test, 100%. Do you want to know how close this is to the test question? Pretty close.
Yeah.
It has a lot of value. Can you get it together today? But seeing them like that, meeting them where they're at, profound effect.
Yes.
Instead of coming up with your clipboard, you're losing participation points today.
You're not on the same team that way.
Yeah. Now, not only are they mentally and emotionally overwhelmed by their drama, in quotes, but now they're also upset with you.
Yes.
And they don't trust you. So, circling back to your question, why are we doing a book study?
Yeah.
It's something that got introduced to me at my employer. They bought this book they buy books for all the teachers sometimes. There's a few that they're like, this seems really valuable. Everybody gets a copy of this. And, of course, teachers are busy. People are busy. People have lives. Not everybody's going to read the book. But they've done voluntary book studies. And they did one on this book on Zoom during COVID.
Cool.
and I didn't get to participate in it, but I talked to the administrator that kind of put it together, one of our district office curriculum instruction people, and she gave some great advice on just like, you got to walk through people's beliefs, take your time, go chapter by chapter, and really talk about it and be honest and try to reflect on your own practice and encourage everybody to do that in a non-judgmental way. And I thought that was really good advice. Having read the book, I thought that's really the only way, because you do have to change some beliefs.
Totally.
Like the first few chapters talked about that. And I mean, this one is alluding to the same thing. And the rest of them, they get more technical as to like how to do this and why it works. And the next chapter's on the mathematics of things. But they all are kind of moving you toward understanding new evidence that should lead you to change your beliefs.
Totally.
In the face of this evidence, it would be unreasonable to continue doing things the way we've been doing.
Yes. If you're going to ask me to change my craft, give me some bullet points of why I should do that. And this lays it out.
Oh yeah.
Explicitly and clearly. Like it makes it simple to follow along with.
Totally.
Which has been so nice.
And it seems really well researched in that you can tell that the author has had many, many conversations with people and has heard all of the hesitations. Everybody's different worries about, well, that wouldn't work because this, and that wouldn't work because that. And 100% of it is addressed in this book.
Yes. Pretty
concisely, pretty well, and very, like, robustly sourced, too, I would say, for a book of an education book of its type. A natural sciences thing is a little bit different, but a teaching theory book, robustly sourced, like pretty well researched.
It does the right kind of homework.
I think so.
Leads by example.
Totally. So in the chapter, they go over a few questions. One, how does our use of traditional and inequitable grading practices send mixed messages to our students about the role of mistakes in learning?
Ooh, we were chatting a little bit about this.
Yeah, I've been ranting a little bit about it already before we even dug in. But Morgan, your takeaways from the book on that topic, like?
Well, I mean, just making the adjustments to trying to keep with this grading system of grading the assessments, the things that actually reflect their learning versus all of the little behavioral, intricacies. That change creates a completely different environment of how students approach school in general, right? If they know that I can show up and I can do whatever, my performance isn't until the end of the month, the end of the week, the end of the trimester. But I am loved, I am accepted, I am reassured, I am helped if I ask questions all the way throughout this process. And so having that in one class and then having a 15-minute break and then going to another class where you get constantly bombarded with points on whether or not you're sitting in your table correctly, if your group is quieted down, if you are focusing a lot more on behavioral aspects of, living and navigating your world. It's a stressful change. It's a hard change for a lot of students to do. And sometimes if they don't make that adjustment and they act with a little bit more, freedom or however they're feeling expressive, it makes it really hard across my colleagues and I to create an environment that's consistent. We don't have that consistent environment when we're not facilitating and treating our students the same way. And it's been interesting to see how kids take a breath when they come into my classroom, of a sigh of relief of like, okay, I'm in a good spot. I can figure things out. Things are hard here for sure, but we can figure it out. versus leaving and going to a colleague that might not have that same setup and having them wonder like and worry about like, oh, I have to make sure the people in my group are being quiet because that affects my grade. I have to make sure that they're, you know, not acting out of turn and that we get all of our stuff done, and I'm stressing out about it because I can't control that and X, Y, and Z. It's like, buddy, you're 12. Why are you... Just worry about whether or not you capitalize the first part of your sentence and you put punctuation at the end. Like, let's focus on that. That's what matters, right? So those differences, if not all of my colleagues are on the same page, my kids have a really hard time adjusting to those polar opposite environments.
Gosh, the effect it has on the kids is so under-discussed when you have inconsistencies among your faculty and their classroom practices and their policies and procedures. Like, it just made me think, because I just had parent-teacher conferences today, and I talked to a parent. The parents are separated, going through the legal divorce process, and I asked, like, is it okay for me to ask a little bit more about that? Like, how's your son doing with that? Because it's hard on any kid at any age, even an adult, to have parents go through a separation.
Absolutely. That's a broken dream.
There's no way for that not to affect you profoundly.
Absolutely. And
many times it turns out to be better than an alternative situation.
Sure.
But it always has an effect. And one of the things that the mother alluded to was inconsistencies in expectations in the two different homes.
Okay.
And how a teenage young man might react to that. Kind of predictably. When there's inconsistency in expectations, well, it doesn't lead to your mind feeling more settled. Like, it leads to a dissonance, and, you know, it can lead to an age-specific version of a temper tantrum, right? Like, think of a kid and you all of a sudden change the rules to the game. They're going to have a little bit of cognitive dissonance, and then they're going to have an outburst. You're going to experience some backlash. And that happens with our tweens and teens. Adults do it. When somebody at work all of a sudden tells you have to do a new thing, they've changed the rules on you. What's your emotional reaction to that?
I do not like that change.
Yep.
Why? It was, you know, this system maybe was working for me or whatnot, but like, no, I wasn't included on this. Immediate pushback. Yeah. Immediate pushback. Why? What's your justification? Validate that for me.
Yeah. And that's a normal, it's just an emotional reaction. We all have it. And it's hard to, in that moment, notice it and go, oh, I'm just having a little bit of cognitive dissonance and a little bit of emotional pushback because of inconsistencies in expectations. And every human experiences that anytime you change the rules all of a sudden.
Appropriate responses, appropriate feelings.
Yeah. It is an adult temper tantrum. You are having an adult temper tantrum.
Yes.
But it is valid. It might not feel as important to you once the dust settles and you understand the why. But inconsistent expectations do not yield calm emotions.
No.
Not at all.
No.
And if we want the kids to feel calm and feel emotionally safe and feel that, like, they're acceptable as a flawed human being, as a teenager who acts like a teenager, for God's sake, God forbid, the 12-year-old acts 12.
Wow. For 8 hours of the day? My goodness.
Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. And by the way, they all act different. And guess what? None of them are meant to sit in rows and columns and straight lines facing forward quietly for an 8-hour day or a 6-hour day.
No.
They're not. Their brains, that is an unhealthy thing to force their brains to do.
Yes. Or having them sit for more than even sometimes that 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I have 2-hour-long periods, 90-minute periods at least, that there is no break, nothing in between, not developmentally appropriate, not even close.
Doesn't even work for a college class.
I want to scream. We take brain breaks because I need a brain break as an adult. And I know this math.
Yeah. Today we had, while you guys have independent work time, if Mr. Schulke puts in his AirPods, will you be okay and come get me if you need something and take care of each other? Because I'm going to watch you, but I need a break from the noise for a second to be okay. And they were like, yep, very reasonable. I'll walk over if I need something.
Yep.
Cool. So there I am sitting at my table, overlooking the class, listening to Prof. Got some rap in my AirPods.
Excellent.
Just vibing. Trying not to say the words out loud with kids in the classroom.
Yes.
And it was a great time. And it was just, they had 10 minutes of independent work time. And I think it might even been good for them because they really need to be encouraged to help each other. Try to figure it out. You don't need to come ask me every question you have. There are 31 other people in here. One of them probably gets it. One of them, I'll bet there's even one out of the other 3 people at your table that gets it. So try. You guys can help each other. That's a skill you need.
Absolutely.
Because guess what? When you're in college and you're in a lecture hall of 450 people, you can't walk up every 3 minutes and go teacher. You got to figure it out, bud.
Yeah.
So teaching them that like, hey, there need to be times where I'm here for emergencies only.
Yes.
Because I know you're smart enough and strong enough to figure this out.
A little bit of that constructivist approach.
Well, yeah. We got to build you up, son. There are some skills that you have not sufficiently developed yet. That's where school comes in.
Yes.
That should be where school comes in. Not, the model we talked about last episode from the Industrial Revolution of getting you to act right.
Yeah.
Not a house of higher learning, a house of act right.
We can see how that did well on the psyche.
Yeah.
For all of us.
Man. I know I'm still affected by, not just parent stuff, school stuff.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
I mean, don't we all have parent issues in some way?
Always.
Yeah. Yep.
Trying to
Always
grow
in
and do
some
things
way.
different. There's going to be a little bit of some discrepancy.
Yeah. Human beings haven't changed much since, antiquity. Since the writing of the classics, which were all about people's mommy issues. And, yeah.
But we can treat each other better. That's what we can do.
We can. We totally can. The trust is for the kids to trust you. And nobody ever taught me that. Like my mentor teacher, my first year, we talked about how kids respond to my emotions and things like that in relationship building. I think it was just early in everything I was learning being an intern to really put together the complexities of child psychology involved in classroom management. Because it really is like complex and simple at the same time.
Oh, it is. Yeah. That spectrum is broad.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it just does come with doing your best with interactions and learning from your screw ups and noticing that all behavior is communication and really trying to figure everything out. Why are they acting that way? Well, guess what? It's never about you.
Yeah.
Don't take it personally, man.
Be curious, not furious.
Yeah.
Switch it up.
Like we talked about each of our examples of kids stealing candy.
Yes. We had some experiences.
Yeah.
It's hard not to take it personal.
Yeah.
But also
it's a freaking, it's a Kit Kat. It's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
But for some reason my ego jumps in.
Oh, right. Mine did this past week. I took the candy completely out of my class. I was pissed.
You little son of a guns.
I was like, we are done with candy. We have not been honest and held all of ourselves to a higher, standard and level of accountability. So Miss Morgan's mad and her heart hurts. I'm taking it away.
Right.
They were like, damn it. Oh, damn it. Who did it? And I'm like, nope, we're not calling out names. We're just growing. We're getting better. But leave me alone.
They hurt your trust.
Yeah, they really did.
And you're supposed to be the adult in the room.
Right? God, I'm supposed to model the behavior that I want, but I want to show them that it's okay to get my feelings hurt, but I'm also going to, spoiler, I am going to bring the candy back, but we're going to bring it back next week. This incident happened last week, so I'm going to have a week of reflection. Anytime anybody asks, hey, can I have some candy? I'm like, nope. We didn't hold ourselves accountable as a group. I'm looking for us to grow and see if we can get that, opportunity, maybe, trimester 2, which is next week. So I'm hoping that, we take that and we're a little reflective. But yeah, I took it personal.
You could always prank them and just get really terrible candy. Get them the Jelly Bellies that taste like a turd popsicle or whatever. They've got
I love it. The vomit and earwax. Oh my gosh. Bernie Bots.
Yeah, here kids. Everybody gets jelly beans.
Here you go. Hold out your hand.
It'll only work with your first class of the day.
Oh yeah. I won't even be able to finish the class the rest of the school, and they'll send out some message, some way, somehow.
Oh yeah, I'll be on Snapchat before your class is over. Mm-hmm. First kid to take a extended potty break.
Done.
Oh,
I bring chargers in my class so that any type of phone charger, if you go to the bathroom, charge your phone.
Oh.
That's what we do in my room.
Charge your phone.
Yeah, go charge your phone. It's in a safe spot. It's over by and it's where everybody can see it so that there's nobody messing with anybody's stuff.
I like that.
But it helps with no, I'm looking out for you. You can put it face down. Nobody's going to touch your stuff. Even if it vibrates, even if it goes off, I'll turn it on silent. I'm not going to open up your stuff. Put it on the charger. Go to the bathroom. Bye.
I dig it.
It's worked a little bit.
Seems cool.
It was first week of buy-in was consistently reminding them hey, I know you got one. No worries. You're not in trouble. I'm not taking anything. Yeah. You can pick it up later. Go charge it right now.
Yeah. Just need you to really just go take a dump and come back.
Yeah, totally. And for them also to trust me to do that, I mean, that's one step of that little bit of rapport. And I'm not, taking away points because they have a phone. I'm saying go to the bathroom, go do what you need to do, and we're going to stop all the behaviors because we trust one another.
Yeah.
We have that relationship.
Yeah.
But I don't think that would have happened if I was as critical with how I see them and assess them.
That seems to be at the core. So much of it is the mindset of either seeing the students as an adversary mm-hmm. or seeing us all as one thing.
Yes.
All parts of the same working system of human beings trying to support one another on this planet. Mm-hmm. We're all the same thing, man. Totally. If I'm mean to you, I'm just being mean to myself.
Yeah, because you're going to take care of me later.
Well, yeah. Well, and psychologically, that's usually the case. If you're mm-hmm. taking your stuff out on other people, it's usually because of insecurities and fears and
personal problems,
personal problems. Yeah. And kids are frustrating, and we weren't meant to deal with 30 of them at a time.
No, that is, yeah. Those of us that do it well are inhuman.
It's really hard. But if you trust them and they trust you, you can get them to do almost all of the work.
And they want to. And
you just got to see them as human being people. And all the behavior, which is really communication, mm-hmm. try to learn what they're subconsciously, unintentionally trying to communicate.
Totally.
Sometimes it's just yeah, I do have crazy ADHD, and if I don't move, I'm gonna blow up your universe.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Including mine.
Yeah, I have to physically move because this is. And when you see, I'm hey man, it seems like you're having a high energy day. How you feeling? Yeah, I got a lot of energy. Do you need a fake errand to go do? Mm-hmm. Do you need to just go have a movement break? It's okay if you do, mm-hmm. or do you just need to stand? I think I just need to stand. All right, cool. All right, as long as you're not blocking the board,
yep.
we're good with that. That goes so far to just show them. No, don't just say it, but show I'm meeting you where you're at, man. I see you. Mm-hmm. I see you. You're a human being. I'm a human being. You have struggles. I have struggles. You have challenges. I have challenges. Let's meet each other.
Totally. Yeah, Rita Pearson, what'd you say? You don't learn from people you don't like?
Yeah.
End of story.
End of story.
End of story. And if you do learn a lesson from someone you don't like, it's probably not for the best reason. Mm-hmm. It's not always the best feeling. So trying to make that a little bit more of a positive experience.
Yeah. It's like that other expression, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oof, that's it. Yes.
That's it. That's actually in this chapter. It made me think of it when I heard that quote, listening to the audiobook, heard it again. I'm oh yeah, that is in this chapter. Mm-hmm. But then I thought, that's not too accurate. Because more accurate would be, they don't care how much you know, the end.
Yeah.
The end. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. And there's this study, this meta-analysis by John Hattie. And John Hattie's like super well known in the pedagogical literature. John Hattie, he did this like big meta-analysis. I don't remember where in the chapter it is. But he looked at a ton of studies on all the different things that could potentially affect a student's learning outcomes, and found that the teacher's expertise in the content matter had almost zero effect on how well the kids learned. But what had one of the highest effects was teacher-student relationships. Did you find it?
Yes, I did.
Oh my God.
29, John Hattie, in his exhaustive study of over 900 meta-analyses, over 50,000 educational research articles, which included 240 million students, found that a positive teacher-student relationship had one of the most powerful influences or effect size on student achievement. This powerful relationship begins with the teacher's positive behavior towards a student, and the student reciprocates. Nearly 3 decades ago, Lisa Delpit, 2006, a researcher on cultural responsive teaching and MacArthur Genius Fellow, called for the teachers to be warm demanders and to expect a great deal of their students, convince them of their own brilliance, and help them to reach their potential in a disciplined and structured environment.
Yeah. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Your relationship matters immensely. Your relationship with the students.
Yes.
Matters immensely.
That's
matters
first.
Most.
It's first.
Your content area expertise doesn't matter.
No.
Does not matter.
Mm-mm.
It is studied and found to be basically inconsequential.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that, like you can, part of the rigmarole of college is you're learning how to learn new things.
Yes.
And yeah, you can go in and learn something and then go right around and teach it if you're not professing it. There's a difference between teaching and professing, right?
Absolutely.
And in K-12 education, we are not there to profess. We're there to facilitate learning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great that you have an advanced degree in whatever it is in, but the kids don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care what your thesis was on. It doesn't matter to them what your practical work experience in your industry is. They don't care.
Does the difficult kid want to talk to you about what's bothering them?
Boom.
That
Yes.
is a teacher. That's the first part of being a teacher. If you're not there, get there. Then talk about your math. Then talk about your ELA.
Yeah.
If you're not there, you are consistently expected as a professional to work and get to that point of having that level of a relationship.
Yeah. Do your kids all feel safe crying in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Will they tell you why they're crying? Do you have that level of trust with them? Do they feel that safe in your classroom that no matter what is screwed up, it's going to be okay in this class?
Mm-hmm.
And if I have the worst day ever, I'm not going to be made to feel like I'm stupid or be ridiculed or threatened with made up things like points.
Mm-hmm.
It all fits together. All fits together. And the grading, like, it makes me super emotional because I know that, like, my first year's teaching, like, it undermined my relationships with students.
100%.
And the students that were super bright and knew they were, and they were getting penalized for their work habits or their emotional challenges and the things that are beyond their control.
Yep.
And thinking about those individual kids, like, that's been the hardest part for me, is thinking about, like, man,
It's guilty.
guilt.
Yeah.
Guilt. Like, that kid could have done better. They're probably doing fine right now,
Mm-hmm.
but they could have done better in my class. Like, they were doing fine. If they trusted me more, they would have done even better. And the grade that they, received was not the grade that now I believe they
Earned.
Achieved.
Yeah.
Yeah, achieved. Because it's not earning, because I'm not giving it to you.
No.
I'm just measuring. You give it to you.
Yes.
I'm just measuring.
Accomplishing.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I have these systems for measuring your accomplishments. I have assessments with grading rubrics. and I make it very clear what you need to learn, and I do my best to give you tools to learn it, and I'm there for help along the way, and we check your progress multiple times along the way. And so you know where you're at, and I know where you're at, and if it's not going well, we change it up, we try something different, we reteach it, get you some extra help. If nobody gets it, that means I suck at my job.
That's a me problem.
That's a me problem.
That's a me issue.
Yeah, if we don't have like 80% of people getting it by a pretty predictable point, then I'm not doing my job very well. There's definitely room to tweak it, room for improvement. There's another teacher out there that knows how to do it better.
Yes.
There's even the freedom for me to take a risk and try a new kind of lesson that might tank. And those days suck.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Oh my God.
They're tough.
Embrace the suck.
Yes.
Embrace the suck.
We're trying.
Try something new. Let a few lessons tank every year and learn from it. Because sometimes you knock it out of the park and you're like, man, I literally didn't have anything planned today, and I planned this in my head on the way to work, and I tried it, and it's amazing.
Freaking crushed.
The kids are so engaged.
I love those.
Like, we had a whole period where nobody took a toilet break.
Right?
The whole class stayed there the whole period. I think some of them were even holding their pee to stay in, like, whoa.
Yeah.
But you gotta teach a few turd lessons.
You really do.
For that one win.
You gotta get some shiners in there.
Do you think that's a big part of like what motivates people, is just like the insecurity of somebody's gonna criticize the job I'm doing? Or
talking about the kids or the adults?
The adults.
I think so. I think also that when you make a grade reflecting only from assessments, of course, it's a lot of pressure on the student. Sure, that pressure should be throughout the semester as well. But I think a lot of teachers take that pressure and they put it on themselves as a reflection of their job as well. So they take that personal if that's not, done well or whatnot.
That's a hard reality to confront.
Totally.
That, especially if you look back at your grades prior, like if you've ever had a test that the whole class failed, one of two things happened. Your test was garbage or your teaching was garbage.
That's it.
That's it. Those are the only two explanations. Period. And so what do? We pad the grade. It's only 20% tests and 30% homework and 40% this and 10% that. And then we end up with this commodity of points where like you can earn all these points.
Do something extra too. Do something extra.
Yeah, do behaviors that I like. Make me a cute craft. Is there extra credit? If you make me a cute craft I can put on the wall, there is.
I definitely need some Kleenex boxes up here in the next couple weeks.
You're right. Would you like to come in at lunch and help me clean arbitrary something? Yeah. Would you like some busy work that doesn't actually further your learning? Because I'll give you some extra credit points.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thereby rewarding the kids with the most resources and the most support at home. And punishing the ones who are already struggling the most for not having, not being able to take a trip to Michael's to buy all the crap to make their craft.
Yep.
To get their extra credit points, to get their 104% up to 106%.
Or being in between, literally traveling between homes to where I didn't get my Chromebook charged. I wasn't at a spot where I was by a wall for more than an hour. I was in a car.
Yeah.
I was, going from my grandma's house to my aunt's house to my so-and-so to my so-and-so. Thanks for showing up.
I'm glad you're here, dude. How can I help you?
Yeah. What do you need?
Plug your Chromebook in the back so it's charged for the rest of your classes.
Yes, you can eat your snack. Don't get it on your Chromebook. You know better.
Yeah. Did you get breakfast? Your bus was late? Go to the cafeteria.
Hurry up.
Tell the lunch lady I sent you. Like, a lot of the kids don't. You got to Maslow before you can bloom, right? Whew.
It's way more of a buzz phrase in the last couple years, but it's so true. It's so violently important.
It's the truest thing.
If you think it's funny or you don't get it, start over. Reflect.
Yeah. And every time you have a kid who's not given the behavior that you expect, you got to put your ego, you got to kill your ego. In the classroom, your ego doesn't live there.
No.
You have to be humble. Not take anything personally. Understand that all behavior is communication. Even yours.
Oh, yeah.
Notice your own behavior. Why are you being a fussy bitch today?
Yeah.
What's your problem, dude?
Did you not sleep well? Did you not eat your breakfast this morning?
Yeah.
Were you not taking care of the things that you needed to take care of and you were rushing yourself? Now you're flustered?
Are you irritated at another adult? Are you irritated at yourself? Are you mad at yourself because this morning went totally sideways and you missed your workout and, you know, what? Like, are you just being fussy? Your behavior is communication. Oh, does that mean my cortisol level's too high and I'm kind of underslept? And okay, what's better, for me to power through this lesson and yell at the kids all day, or for us to chill out, do something a little lower stress on me and on them, meet them where they're at? You know what one of my closest friends told me one time? I don't know if I've ever told you this. I think it was last school year. I was having a super stressful year.
Okay.
Really hard time. And maybe it was even 2 years ago. Because that was the year that I taught with no prep.
Yeah. That's where I am.
With no prep, and had 3 different science classes. Not like 3 different periods, like I taught 3 different classes. I did the SEDI class for like they give it the SEDI acronym. It's for all the lower level ELs, you know, your emerging level ELs.
Got it.
Which would include kids who had been in the country for a single digit number of days and for whom they were unfamiliar with our alphabet.
Yes.
Like they don't know the word for toilet yet.
Got it.
So that class, and then a couple periods of regular science class, and then like a more demanding, more rigorous version of the class for our STEM cohort of kids. And I was just super tired. And, you know, when you're that fatigued, you're debating calling in sick because you're literally sick.
Yeah.
Like when you're that stressed, you're sick all the time.
Yep.
And you're like, it's actually more work for me to call in sick.
It really, every time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're like, am I the kind of sick where I'm not allowed to go to work? That's really the debate.
Yeah.
Like if I go to work, are they going to make me take a COVID test? And then will they send me home if it's COVID? And like, do I need to, like, what's the policy now about quarantining and not coming back? You're having that conversation in your head because you're like, writing a sub plan is more work than actually going to work and doing the lesson.
What a conundrum, literally every single day that we are put in.
Yeah. And so I had this conversation with my friend who's not, you know, an educator. It's not his profession. We worked together in healthcare in the past, and he still works in healthcare. And he's like, well, Jake, what's the alternative? You ring off sick, and the kids then what? Get a mystery sub, right? They get whatever random sub is going to take the job at the last minute. And what kind of job is that mystery sub going to do? What kind of quality instruction are they getting? What kind of lesson plan are you going to write that you know you can trust any random sub who picks up the job at the last minute with? So what's that going to be like? Can you, if you just go to work, can you do a 10% better job than mystery sub? Can you go to work and be the best damn substitute teacher you know how to be? Go substitute the heck out of this day. Go be an amazing substitute teacher and do something that makes the kids like you today.
Yes.
That's it. Make that your whole day. Make that your whole day. Like, you know what would uplift me? What would fill my buckets emotionally? Is some affirmation that the work I'm doing on relationships with kids is working.
Yes.
To see that we trust each other. For you to show me that you actually look to me as a mentor.
Totally.
And you trust me. So let's focus on that today. And I've had those days. I've had those days. And you know, nobody wants to admit, like, yeah, I have days where I go to work and it's, everybody remembers when you were in school. Remember movie days? Now put that in context. How was your teacher doing on movie day?
Yeah. Yeah.
When we put in we had laser discs. We had the full size laser discs.
The rolling. My favorite was the rolling VHS with the VHS underneath.
Yeah.
Plug it in. You got the cart. Oh, shit. Yeah, we got the cart in our room. Hell yeah. It's going to be a good day.
Yep.
It's going to be a good day.
Yeah, my 6th grade science teacher thought he's on the cutting edge with a video laser disc. And I was like, ooh, what is that giant shiny record you have? What kind of sorcery is this? It's paper thin and you can fit a whole movie on there? What?
How?
It's great sorcery.
So cool.
Yeah. how are those teachers doing? Were they, out of all the days we go to work, do we give ourselves enough grace? Do we trust ourselves enough to have a bad one?
I tell my kids when I'm going to take a mental health day, hey, I'm going to be gone this Friday. I'm going to take that day for me. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go hike. I'm going to respond to my emails at probably 7 o'clock at night because I'm going to go out with my dog. I'm going to go run around, exercise, get some sunlight in my face, and I need a day. I love you all. That's exactly what I'm doing. If any of you follow or see me on social media, you see that that's what I'm going to be doing that day. Letting you know, I'll see you on Monday.
I think it's a totally reasonable thing. You know, you and I both work with experienced teachers. I haven't talked to a single teacher yet who doesn't say the same thing.
Good.
This is the most challenging year of teaching that has ever happened.
Oh, it's...
Says everyone I work with. 38 years experience.
Mm-hmm.
Still in the classroom. People with more experience than that are in higher administrative roles now that are like, yep, this is the hardest year. Period.
We better get a pretty ass participation award at the end of this.
Yeah.
It better be
do I
so
get a
damn
ribbon
pretty.
or a trophy or a Pazuki or something? Like,
No sparkles, but we'll get whatever else. We don't want any sparkles for those microplastics. You know what I'm talking about?
oh, I do.
Yeah, that's all. But other than that,
Microplastics, we don't want that.
boo.
We'll need to talk about the
Boo glitter.
environmental effects on human reproductive health.
Boo glitter, but I love the shiny.
That's a whole different podcast.
Crazy. Getting into the cells.
Oh, yeah.
Unreal.
It's in you right now. In you right now. What else does this book talk about?
Couple questions.
How does the element of trust in the student-teacher relationship influence a student's approach to the learning process, particularly for historically underserved student populations? And how does our traditional grading affect that trust? We already talked about that a little bit.
Totally. I mean, we definitely covered it. The kids that already struggle to earn points are going to quickly realize how much they don't care as soon as they stop getting them early on in the year.
Oh, yeah.
By not following along with whatever imaginary world system that you've created for your 50 minutes, 2 hours that you have them. Your
Yeah.
fantasy land.
Yes. And then, you know, the math.
Mm-hmm.
If your grade makes it possible or even likely to achieve an unrecoverable F.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you've got that whole range of F that, you know, a kid misses a week of school or is just not super functional at school for a week.
Yeah.
Parents are going through a divorce. I'm living with whomever.
Mm-hmm.
Custody thing. My mom just got out of rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever. In a very short time of teaching, I've seen all those things.
Yes.
A kid that just isn't there right now.
Mm-hmm.
School is not accessible to them in any way. They have not Maslow'd yet. They're Maslow level 1, lower level needs.
They're barely showing up.
Do I have consistent food, shelter? Like, do I have affirmation from adults?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have trust? Do I feel physically safe?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, we can't do any of that other self-actualization, higher level learning stuff until we figure that out.
Yep.
And it is true that the kids that are the most historically underserved are the kids that get stuck at the bottom in those old grading systems.
They keep going further and further behind.
Yeah, unrecoverable. So guess what? They stop caring.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, at a 20% F, and there's nothing you can do to mathematically recover it because everything has a late penalty, and it's mathematically impossible for me to get even a D, even if I learn all your stupid math, even if I learn all your stupid science, then they resent you. There's no trust there.
And it's not healthy for them to feel that way. Why do you want them to feel that way? Why do you want them to feel so stressed day in and day out? You know that's not good for you. How is that for their growing bodies? Just to even start from there, what kind of world are we asking them to get comfortable in? It's like, no, that is not healthy for their little bodies. Not even close. Not appropriate.
Right. If the other parts of their lives are wrought with negative emotion and fear and mistrust, if they already have a hard time trusting adults and you don't notice that and do something about it for your universe, like school can be the one place where they do trust a couple
Absolutely.
adults And they do feel safe taking risks. And they know they can get something wrong and you're not going to treat them like they're stupid or call them names.
Yes.
Or ridicule their behavior. Because maybe they do get that at home.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the expectations are something you don't even understand.
And if they see that you care about their health, like, bro, you're stressed out about this right now. How can we fix this? You're now a human.
Totally.
That is first and foremost.
Yeah. Yep. What's emotionally really hard to, like, since I've started doing things a lot differently, it has changed my perspectives and my beliefs and the way I interact with the kids. In my classroom, very frequently, you would call it organized chaos.
Okay, me too.
You come in and there's a lot of collaboration happening.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a lot of trust happening. And there's a lot of things that other teachers just, for whatever reason, don't allow. And kids ask to go to the toilet. Of course you can go.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Just hurry back.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
ask at the right times, not right in the middle of a presentation.
Yes, ask at the right times and teaching the right times. Like,
yes.
I'd rather have a kid who knows the right and the wrong time to do something, because at a certain point they're going to be in some kind of college class and they need to know, like, the right time, the wrong time, and for that thought process to be instinctual, for it to be reflexive.
Yes.
That they just know, like, yeah, don't do something disruptive
in the middle of a lesson.
In the middle of a lesson, or while they're giving preliminary instructions, or, you know, if you know that there's independent work time built into the day, wait for that.
Yep.
Wait for that, for, you know, to go have a snack, to walk outside of the classroom and have a snack. We've had pest problems in my building in the past because, like, for science, we keep a lot of cool stuff around that rats love to eat.
Yum.
Even simple stuff like flour and cornstarch.
Oh, that sucks.
And rats will get into it.
Sure
and we
will.
also have, like, candy and marshmallows and things you do fun labs with, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, melt some Jolly Ranchers and look at diffusion and whatever. So we have rules in the classroom, like, hey, here in the classroom / lab, no food out. Like, don't even have it out. But you guys need to eat throughout the day. Like, look at you. Half of you had not had your final growth spurt yet. And far be it from me to delay that any further. Yes.
Exactly.
I'm not sure that Takis are going to get you there. You might need some more nutritious food, but whatever. Go out right outside the door and eat it outside.
Yep.
So that when the custodian leaf blows tomorrow, all those goldfish crumbs will go away.
Yes.
And we won't have rats pooping inside the classroom again.
Yes.
And they get that. They're like, oh, yeah, that would be gross. Like, yeah, we had that. We had rat poop in the classroom when we had to trap animals and deal with it. It was nasty. So do us all a favor. Nobody wants to. Guess what? If we have an earthquake drill, guess what you have to do? I'll have to get down on my hands and knees under the desk. Yeah, what if there's poo under there? Yeah. And they're like, okay, I'll go outside.
That's gross.
I'll have my goldfish outside, sure.
Treating them like human beings.
That's it, man.
The little adults that you hope them to become.
Where do you think all the other policies, like the other management stuff, comes from?
Lack of knowing how to interact with others and not having the coping skills to deal with your own reactions and emotions without having that level of control of a point system. So that human connection, not having as many skills with human connection, I would say, is where a lot of it comes into play, because you don't have to have any skills of human connection on a point-based system where everything's lined out of what I want you to look like. That's almost like a coding, right? That's almost like I can code that into a computer. I can create an algorithm with that. But yeah, that's not the successful case when you want it to be as fluid of an environment as your class should be.
I love you said an algorithm could do that. You want teachers to get replaced by AI? Keep being terrible at relationships with students.
Exactly. Computers are just as good as you are.
Better.
Infinitely better. How are you better than a computer?
Your human connection, period.
End of story.
End of story. Your empathy, your emotional intelligence, things a computer can't do yet. Like your emotional intelligence. And I think we're a long, long, long way off from AI being able to really read human emotion and feel human.
Oh yeah.
They won't be able to feel empathy, you know? Like you have to like really feel where a kid's coming from and care about
Yeah.
them as like a human person.
Mm-hmm.
Like as if they're your kid.
Yeah. Or you.
Or you, if they're you. If you see every 8th grader in your class is like, all right.
That's little me.
It's 13-year-old me going through it. Going through it. How do I deserve to be treated by me?
What did I need?
Yeah, what did I need? What was I not getting? Damn it, no. These kids are not going without that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. 8th grade, if they learn nothing in 8th grade science, there's, that'll have effects longer term.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, they'd probably be okay if they take science in high school and all of that and study and figure it out. Yeah, not as good as the alternative, but yeah, they'll probably be okay.
Mm-hmm.
If they learn 0. Is it likely that they learn 0? No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're not going to learn 0. Will they learn more if you just slow down? Forget about your stupid pacing calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Meet them where they're at. Treat them like people. If they didn't finish the lesson in time, guess what? You pick it up tomorrow, man.
Mm-hmm.
Add an extra day.
Because if you don't, it's going to reflect during your state tests. It's going to reflect when they actually do these. Oh, yeah, state tests are different than our assessments. That should not be the case.
No. They're different, but they're designed pretty carefully to attempt to measure the same things.
Exactly.
There are a lot of things that are going to be on a computer-based test that aren't going to be measured as precisely.
Agreed.
As an authentic performance task.
100%.
Based assessment, More true, I think, for science, because all the science standards now are like...
Yeah, it's so incredibly hard to...
Yeah, they're all practices. Mm-hmm. They all have one of the science and engineering practices built in them. Develop and use a model, analyze and interpret data, construct an argument,
Mm-hmm.
things that you actually have to think your way through and do a task that a scientist would do.
Mm-hmm.
Or anybody working in any kind of field that involves thought, really. Really.
Yeah, critical thinking.
Critical thinking. And yeah, the test doesn't measure it. Like there are performance tasks on the state test for science now that really try to measure the same level of understanding and the same skill and ability. It's not going to be as precise, but it's going to be pretty close. Is there going to be a consistent R-squared value? Pretty decent correlation? Yep.
There should be.
There should be.
Proportional relationship. Where's my constant of proportionality? Let's get it.
Should be pretty close.
Yeah.
Like you should see very similar distributions of your data from your class grades and that state test.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be exactly the same, but a similar pattern, a little bit of deviation, but pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not...
Exactly. I was about to say, if that's not the case, you better start reflecting. Start with chapter 1. That's a good place to start.
Yeah. Maybe go back to that prologue.
Yeah, we got you covered.
Yeah. The last question. We already answered this, man. How do points in grading, often used to incentivize compliance, divert a student's focus away from intrinsic motivation to learn and instead toward the teacher's extrinsic rewards?
Exactly.
There's stuff in the chapter.
They're learning your game. Points are a game, and and those kids that learn the shortcuts and learn the systems, whether it's copying off their neighbors every morning right before they get to your class, or it's cheating in other different ways, they are learning your game and they are working that system, and that in itself is a skill. So if you take that component of the game away and you make it just about learning, it makes everybody's job easier. It's an adjustment at first, but it makes everybody's job easier. Mm-hmm. And responsibilities laid out pretty clearly.
Yeah. Some of the misconception, I wonder if some of it comes from the fact that we do learn about operant conditioning, applied behavioral analysis. Mm-hmm. We learn about these simpler concepts that apply to more algorithmic tasks.
Yes, behavior modifications.
Yeah, behavior modifications. And extrinsic rewards are effective for those things.
Yes.
But we don't ever really, I didn't learn in any of my teacher training that for higher level learning, extrinsic motivation has no effect, basically, to motivate higher level thinking. And generally, because of the way children are, it kind of has the opposite effect.
It's a deterrent.
It's a deterrent, yeah. If there's extrinsic motivation, well, that's going to get them to... It's like that movie Office Space. You know that movie Office Space? Have you seen that? Oh my God.
I'm the worst.
We're episode over. No longer friends.
Pause. It's my homework.
It's a great movie.
Okay.
Mike Judge, guy that made Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, excellent.
Made this movie about working in an office, like a live actor, funny, low budget comedy movie. It's hilarious.
Okay.
This guy works at like an office cubicle kind of job.
Okay.
And just, I don't want to spoil a whole bunch of it.
Okay.
But he hits the point of, I don't care anymore.
Okay.
And they bring in some consultants to maximize efficiency and lay people off. And he's in this meeting and he says something about motivations at his job and how he has this many bosses and this is whatever. And he's like, you know what though, Bob? That'll only get somebody to work just hard enough not to get fired. It's kind of analogous to what our kids do in the classroom.
Boom.
They will work just hard enough to get you to leave them alone and put 10 out of 10 in the grade book.
What's the least I can do?
Yeah. Can I copy it? Can I write gibberish in the blanks, hoping that you don't actually check all these because you have 100 students?
Yeah, he's not going to read these.
What did you get? What did you get for number 3?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Motorcycle. Cool. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, you get motivations based on the system you create. Kids are going to cheat.
Yeah.
Period.
That's
you are motivating them to cheat. You have incentivized cheating.
Absolutely. That's a strategy that works.
It's a very smart strategy. Maximize your effectiveness. Work smarter, not harder. We will all get together and we will copy this of each other on FaceTime before class.
And we will get our points. Thank you.
We will get our points.
Thanks.
Easy. Got it.
Yeah. That's a quick way to get 2 different teams on the same field.
Yeah. And then behavior. I will comply with behavior sufficiently to get my participation points. But is there higher level thinking? Are kids really challenging each other intellectually in that environment?
No.
Oh man, they're complying. There's a big difference between compliance and engagement or investment.
Yes.
Are they invested in that learning process? Invested in that opportunity? Invested in your activity?
Would they buy a ticket to your lesson?
Kids are pretty smart. And when they know what they're supposed to learn, they'll usually tell you if your lesson sucks.
Oh, quick. What's the point? Why do I need to know this?
Dude, we already went over this. If they're bored and we already did it, cool. If it's above that, this is really confusing. I don't understand. Can we go back to like the first thing you said about variation? I don't understand that still. And we're like, wait, okay, I'm doing this wrong. I'm going too fast. This is the wrong activity. They're not getting this. Oh, I'm trying to do this all verbally, or I'm not. They don't have enough hands-on practice, so they need to collaborate about it. They need to talk about it more. They need to solve a problem using something. I'm not teaching it right. They'll tell you. But if it's all points, and there's behavior points, participation points, and compliance points, and obedience points, and do what I say points, then they're just gonna quietly comply.
Yep.
Copy the homework, do as best they can on your tests, and that's it.
Yeah.
Ride it out through your class.
Yeah, the kids that want to play the game will play, and those that don't won't even step on the field the whole damn year. And what a loss.
Yeah. And then you'll see on that standardized test that out of all your school's 8th graders, 17% of them met standard and 5% of them exceeded standard, and the other 77% didn't quite get it. Hypothetically.
Yeah, no. Couldn't be us, not with this grading strategy. Woo, couldn't be us. Woo.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, it is. But it's worth it.
Totally worth it. The questions at the end, first of all, if you haven't bought this book already, dang it, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We love having you here as an audience person. It's great. But that being said, the book is totally worth it. You're not going to get 100% just from listening to this. So at least get the audiobook. It's on Audible. The reader, it's not read by the author, but the narrator does a good job.
Yeah, it's good.
It's pretty well done. But the paperback book, irreplaceable. To just go back to a quote, some information on something, to dog ear it and put little flags and notes and scribble in the margins. It's
educators, you know what it's like to be a student. You know how to prepare yourself. This is the homework.
This is it.
You know what to do.
So the questions at the end, you and I have deliberated about them.
Yeah.
Plenty. They are, number one, how have different supervisors or those whose opinion you care about responded to your mistakes? How have helpful responses impacted you and your effectiveness? How have unhelpful responses impacted you and your effectiveness? It's relatable. Everybody's worked at a job and had a critical supervisor, and
totally.
then you worked just hard enough to keep them off your back.
Yep.
But when you had a supervisor that you trusted, they'll ask you to do extra stuff, and you trust them that it's probably a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You wouldn't ask if it wasn't necessary, like, I got you.
Exactly.
No problem.
That's a friend instead.
Yeah.
It's way more of a collaborative team.
A real teammate. A team is a group of people you trust.
Mm-hmm.
Are we on the same team?
I would hope so.
I hope so. Number 2, recall something you learned to do outside of the school context. What motivated you to learn and continue learning when you struggled? Can your class be so engaging that it gives kids the same dopamine hit as scrolling through YouTube?
I bet you it wasn't points. Bet you it wasn't freaking points that was getting you all hyped up about that.
Yeah. Can you make it fun? Can you make it at least a contest?
Mm-hmm.
At least make it a game. Make it fun. Make them immediately notice the value of doing this activity today.
Yes.
All right, guys. You know our ending goal. Like, you got to learn how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Today, I think that we're probably all about here.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what we're going to practice today. And here's our goal for today. By the end of the class, and you need to be able to prove to me that you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And how about we make it into a game? And blah, 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 blah. Design it in a fun way.
Totally.
And you could do that for, I can't think of a subject you couldn't do a version of that for.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, there's everything applies to that structure of learning.
Yeah. Because humans want to learn stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And when you explain to them, like, the goal, especially when you understand your standards and you can explain to them the higher level learning goal,
Mm-hmm.
then they get it. Because it's not about memorizing stuff. Memorizing stuff is boring.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding stuff is cool.
Oh, yes.
To where you can talk about it, debate about it, argue about it, where you notice when somebody else says something that's not totally correct.
Mm-hmm.
To feel like you're an expert in something, especially as an adolescent. You're not an expert in anything. You don't know much about much.
Mm-hmm.
But to know, like, oh man, I know the difference between a Federalist and an Anti-Federalist, and I can tell you about which ones supported the Constitution as written, which ones promoted the addition of the Bill of Rights and amending the Constitution, and the different kinds of jobs and income levels and geographic locations where these people probably lived, and who were the founding fathers that were the supporters on both sides, and why, and how does that compare to, like, the Democrats and Republicans now, the liberal, conservative, bipartisan stuff that we have now. And how did that conflict of large federal government versus state rights lead into the Civil War, not that long later?
Mm-hmm.
Can they explain that? Can they have a conversation about it and talk to you about it like they get it? They love it. Their faces light up when they understand something that well.
It feels so much better to know something rather than to remember it.
Yeah. To memorize and dump, memorize and dump, memorize and dump.
Mm-hmm.
That was college for, I think, everybody.
Oh, yes. Especially our general ed, the first, 2 years? Covering all the bases of, let's get those covered.
Although some of my lower division and, like, general ed stuff,
mm-hmm.
by the time I went back to college as a returning student, I had so many junior college units that the universities wouldn't let me in until I finished a transfer pattern. They're like, yeah, so here's the thing. You have more than enough community college units for at least an associate's degree. They just happen to be in a whole bunch of random different things. And they don't fulfill any transfer pattern for your general ed. And you're like on the verge of enough units for a bachelor's degree, but from community college, which is weird. So in order for us to get paid from the state for you to come to a state university, a CSU or a UC, then California State University or University of California system, for those that don't know.
Yes.
For us to get paid for you to go here, you have to finish your junior college general ed transfer pattern, your IGETC pattern. So I got to take a year of full-time community college before starting my bachelor's.
Okay.
And then proceeded to do a 7-year bachelor's. But
our journeys are all different.
Our journeys are all different. Wouldn't change a darn thing.
See, that's what matters.
Yeah. I think so. And it was great. In some of those classes, Renaissance art history.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Richard Saros. I got to give a shout out.
Already.
Dude, I remember his class and how fun and interesting and intriguing and engaging it was, and the stories he knew and the stories he had, because even though he could have much more easily studied Spanish Renaissance art history, he wanted to go to Italy. He wanted to go to Florence. He wanted to go to the place where it happened, and studied Verrocchio. Why do I remember this? This was in 2011 that I took this class.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, he studied Verrocchio's workshop. Verrocchio was a student of Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
By the way, I teach science. I don't know anything about art.
Yeah.
Like, this is beyond my expertise. But I remember this because his class was so dang good.
That's
so good. Yeah.
I love those teachers.
Yeah. Where you can remember the clothes they wore, the hats.
Mm-hmm.
You remember things about their personality. Yeah. You remember a field trip.
Mm-hmm.
This was just some general ed, had to take it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. That was my Psych 101.
Tell me.
Oh, my professor, Dawn Strongen. You are everything and anything good. She comes in a couple minutes late to this large Psych 101 lecture hall, walks in the center of, the class, of course, because that's where the door is. So walks down the center, and she's got all of her stuff, and she's, little, not flustered per se, but she's trying to move up to the podium quickly. She, dumps off her stuff. Everybody was chatting meanwhile, and as soon as we see her walk in, the hush comes over. Okay, it's our first day with our professor. Cool. So she comes in, she starts, and she... as she puts her things down, she kind of whips around. She goes, okay, I know I'm late. Hi, my name is Dr. Strongen. I am from Stanford. I worked in the neurosurgery area, et cetera, et cetera. These are all my accolades. But I really love psych, so I'm going to teach Psych 101. I'm going to start from the beginning. She said, now I know a lot of you have to take this because it's a GE. I know that, there's a percentage of this amount of people, this amount of people, this amount of people, this amount of people. I'm just going to tell you that after my class, half of you will switch your major to psychology. I guarantee it, before the end of the semester. T-1 month. Already had an email up to Dr. Strong. Yo, what up? How do I change this? Because I did. The way that she
That's great.
started and interacted, her confidence, her consistency, her openness. Yeah. She was a human being first and foremost. She was honest. Yep, I'm late. I have this, and this. This is who I am. I hope you're not pissed at me. I'm not going to be pissed at you. Let's move forward. This is what I'm about. And it was nothing but clearly laid out expectations, fun, interactive activities, where as a grown adult in college, I was getting up and I was my own neuron, where, a group of us were axons and dendrites. And I know all of these parts because I physically was that structure as a part of a demonstration in class. And so having that, type of experience, yes, it was my, general ed, but that teacher loved what they did. And that's why I remembered it.
Yeah.
And it's, not about what she knew. It's about how much she loved what she knew, and that she was comfortable enough with that not to put my behavior as a factor of what she knew.
I'll bet that classroom activity where you were acting out neuron anatomy didn't have participation points attached to it.
I couldn't even tell you. Yes, there was nothing that was a part of my grade in that regard of participation or anything like that. It was volunteers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure. Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah. Well, and you guys probably recognize, like, all right, there's probably a point to this. Probably matters.
Yes.
Might help us understand it, or she wouldn't be based on her time, because it seems like trying to get adults to hold hands.
And this is different, and this is fun.
Yeah.
And I'll bite.
Yeah.
I'll bite. Let's try it.
Okay, science lady. Let's see what you got.
Okay. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Yay. Yay for professors. Yay for the good ones that love what they do.
And I'm having emotional reactions while you're talking about it, because it makes me think, like, I don't really remember teachers from middle school or high school. I remember a couple science teachers I had in high school with whom I had positive interactions, because they treated me like a person.
Yep.
Even though I was a troubled kid as a teen. And yeah, but didn't have a lot of those kind of interactions with teachers until college, and that kind of makes me sad.
What a disservice.
And I wonder if I just emotionally wasn't in the place to notice their efforts and engage in it, or was there something else they could have done to get me to want to be there, to trust them, to not give up, to not, because I remember classes where I'm like, what, how low is my grade? Okay, well, I don't like this class anyway, so I don't really care.
Exactly.
You go read Shakespeare, shut up.
Cool. I don't care.
Yeah.
Never going to do anything with this.
I took an English class in the same time period at Modesto Junior College, though. Took a English composition, it's like composition and literature, like a 103 English class requirement for transfer. And we did Hamlet.
Cool.
And it was super cool.
Cool.
I had a really, really good experience. We did a bunch of other literature too. It wasn't just that. That was a great class. I don't remember that professor's name, but I remember several instructors' names.
Cool.
From college, even ones that were like 10 years ago and further in the past. So there are people out there,
definitely,
that get it, that make it fun. And maybe it's easier dealing with young adults than it is dealing with teens. Like, teens they're
a lot.
They're a lot, man.
Yeah. Young adults have a little bit of a better understanding how to behave, but teens, we're going on top of those lessons.
Remember my stats professor? It was her first year teaching junior college. I got her first semester teaching it.
Fresh.
Oh, and she was great. And I loved stats. I was so into it.
Cool.
Like, you're making math do new things that I haven't seen it do before. This is cool. Making math tell you truth about real stuff. That's really cool.
And how you can manipulate math to tell you what you want it to tell you.
Also that.
Statistics.
And how to tell the difference.
Yes.
How to scrutinize.
Yes.
And I loved the class, but there were kids in the class, brand new, like they were in high school last May, and now they're in this class because their parents probably told them, you need to register for junior college or move out or get a job. And they're like, well, F a job and F moving out. So
school it is.
School it is. Let's register for some general education. And, people that are just chatty and disruptive and disrespectful and annoying. And I remember her having the same flusters you and I have had with kids. Me probably more than you. Of getting flustered, getting a little impatient with your choices right now. It's affecting me in a way that none of us is gonna like.
Please, friends. Please, friends. Friends. Please.
Yes.
We're tired, you guys. We're so tired, but we love you. Oh my God, we're so tired. But we love you.
I get a lot of teacher stuff in my Instagram feed.
Oh, me too.
All the funny teacher stuff.
Yes.
Like when admin tries to come up with new acronyms for ideas that are not new at all. And one of them was STFU, silent time for understanding. And I was like, man, could I put a sign that says STFU, silent time for understanding?
Please.
In the room? Nope. Not profesh.
Dang, so close.
So close. Not gotta be profesh. Gotta act immature so the kids don't take me too seriously. Mm-hmm. Gotta be profesh also.
Yeah, so that they know how to act, when to act a fool and when not to.
Model the time and a place thing.
It's a good thing. It's annoying, but it's a good thing.
Yep, totally. Model the time and a place thing. And talk to them about situations like, you guys see me act differently in different situations, right? Like, do I talk to this other teacher the same way I talk to you? Well, no, it's different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Time and place, man. Mm-hmm. You be you, but certain situations call for different rules about your communication.
Yes.
They can get that. They don't talk to their friends the same way they talk to their mom.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
For teachers. Yeah, we're moving on to question 3.
Okay.
For teachers, some teachers think, if I motivate students to learn with points now, they'll realize success and become internally motivated. If you believe this, how could you test this theory?
Yeah, if you believe that, let us know how. Let us know how you're going to prove that.
Yeah, fill me in, bud. Let me know how that went.
Report back.
Yeah, report back. I'd love to see some data on that because I haven't ever seen it.
Not effectively.
The book cites this other work by Daniel Pink, this book called Drive, The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us, a pretty good study of motivation that came up with these really research-backed conclusions that extrinsic motivation is good for kind of mindless tasks, very simple algorithmic kind of tasks. Like, can you get students to line up in front of your classroom and come in and sit down by motivating them with points? Yes, you can. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Same way you can train dogs and cats with Scooby snacks.
Exactly.
You can do that. And if you want to ABA your way through it and Skinner your way through it and treat kids like lab animals.
Yes.
They'll do that.
Like trainable things.
Training behavior.
Rather than human beings.
Yeah. Can you get them to do higher order thinking with extrinsic motivation? No, you can't. Mm-hmm. They don't. They work just hard enough not to get fired.
Exactly.
That same analogy. They do the bare minimum. They manipulate you. And, I thought about this. The last time we talked, I talked about my colleague who's a science teacher. My friend. He's my friend. We're friends. Mm-hmm. We've hung out. We hang out. After listening to the episode on gamification with Dr. John McFarland, he started thinking about how to gamify his class, and he came up with this first year just figuring out what some of the behaviors would be and what some of the rewards would be.
Okay.
To have a game system that doesn't affect the grade, but there are other rewards built into it. So he's on standards-based grading, 4-3-2-1 rubrics on all exams, doing math, and the kids have good buy-in. But he wanted to improve behavior management, tardies, and stuff like that with incentives that actually and participation and homeworks and things that help the kids study positively reinforce those behaviors.
Yes.
And these ideas of a classroom economy, like there's a reason that you see it in like a lot of special ed classrooms. You're going to see it in any mild mod classroom, any emotionally disturbed classroom. Like you should see some sort of classroom economy. Same
thing with the littles, to be honest with you. They have their points and their monies all the time.
And it works because you are working on behaviors.
Yes.
Simple behaviors, not complex analytical thinking. And it works for that. But when you tie it to the academic grade, it undermines the grade.
Totally.
So if you have a system that keeps them separate, like my colleague does, they earn their points. He tracks their points every day. Like show up on time is a number of points, and have your stuff out and ready to work when it's time to get to work. And it's small amounts of points, but they add up, and things that have more value have more points. And he's just trying it out this year, but getting such good buy-in from students.
Awesome.
Because then their rewards are things that actually are helping them learn in ways that they don't really understand. Like one is like, use your notes on a test. Okay, can you use notes to figure something out that you don't completely remember in real life? Yes, 100% of the time. Like always. If you don't remember, if you're using math at your job and you're like, man, I don't remember how to do this one simple thing, can you Google it on your phone in 3 seconds? 100%. That's very realistic. And by having taken good notes in the first place, did you take part in the learning process? Yes. So you have to have notes to look at in the first place. Then by knowing where in your notes that information lies, that means you have to organize that information in your head, and then you have to find it, and you're reviewing it, and then using it to solve a problem. Are you learning it? If you do that once or twice, are you going to remember it whether you tried to or not? Yes.
Probably.
So he's putting them through the process of learning.
That's
but
awesome.
They see it as incentives, as rewards that they spend their points on. You know, taking a quiz with a partner. Okay, who probably needs collaboration the most? Somebody who's going to choose that. That's probably a student who really needs to collaborate with somebody in order to get this topic. And if they collaborate on a quiz, which is really just, you know, if you don't know it at all, collaborating is not going to help. But if you're like, hey man, is this it? Does it go on the top or the bottom on this? Like, is this the flip switch? Like, you know, they're trying to figure something out. They'll get it if they work on it together.
Yes.
So the way he's structured it, he's got it balanced. He's a math guy, so he's got it balanced mathematically in a way that nobody has a ridiculous excess of points. They're spending them on incentives that are actually reinforcing the learning process, and he's seeing increased test scores from it.
Cool. I gotta take a peek at that.
Yeah, I want to have him on and talk about it. Let him talk about what he's noticing with it. Even look at some of his data, maybe. And hook him up with Dr. McFarland to talk about how to finish his gamification. Because now he knows what his desired behaviors are.
Okay.
He knows what his incentives are. But now he wants to go a step further and do like characters and stuff that'd be more fun for him.
Got it.
He wants to Harry Potter it. So everybody's a sorcerer. We're gonna put you all in houses.
Got it.
He'll probably bring a sorting hat to school, and that'll be a whole day.
Immersive.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. He's always trying to improve stuff in his class.
That's
always
so cool.
trying new things. But I bring it up because he devised this way of like, the idea of points can still exist. They just have nothing to do with your report card.
Yes.
Totally unrelated. Other than, well, I'm just incentivizing you to do the stuff that helps you learn.
Yeah.
And then you're only graded on what you've learned.
Exactly.
That's it. So yeah, I'm incentivizing behavior, but I'm not going to dock your grade if you don't do it.
Exactly.
So guess what? If you think my homework's stupid, okay, don't do it.
Yeah. This test is going to be really
It's not going to affect my grade? Nope. It might affect how much you get it.
Exactly.
But no, in real life, like, you got to decide how much you get. Like in college, you have to decide how much to study and what to study and what questions in the back matter of the book are worth you taking the time to find the answers to.
Yep.
And trying to get sample exams and really picking apart that study guide and knowing if it's valid. Like, you've got to figure that all out. And if you're good at it collaboratively with a study group, you've got to know how to do that without a teacher forcing you to do anything, ever.
Because they're not going to.
They're not going to. They don't develop intrinsic motivation by you forcing them. They develop intrinsic motivation by understanding the learning process and seeing it in themselves and feeling it, understanding it. Like, oh, I didn't do that thing, and if I'd done that and asked questions when I didn't get it, this probably wouldn't be so hard right now. Dang it. Okay. All right. That's cool. I get a retake on the test, and we're going into a new unit. Like, I know now. I can do better. I think middle school would be the best place to introduce this.
Oh, this is a perfect time when grades start to matter, but they still don't. They matter to families, and they matter to certain students that, have valued grades and, value grades just in general.
Totally.
But for those that don't, it starts creating the gap of how we care about school in general across the board.
Yeah. The grades aren't going to directly affect their college admissions. It will affect sports eligibility and stuff like that. So there's an impact. It will affect, in a lot of cases, things at home.
Yes.
Very frequently that, and kids worry about that a lot. And that's great that they have parental engagement.
Totally.
That wants to push them to succeed. That's awesome. But you're right. The risks are relatively low. And for some kids, it's the first time they've had a letter grade. Like the elementary schools in my school district, like they do standards-based grading. So the kids get 3s and 2s on a report card for different things that they've mastered or not mastered. And they don't get A's and B's and stuff. They get to junior high and they're like, what? I've got 6 teachers that all grade differently. I don't even understand this percentage garbage. An A, wait a minute, an A is 10 points of range, but an F is 60 points of range. What? They don't even get it.
Exactly.
Which probably means it's stupid.
Which means why try?
Well, yeah. Which
if
means,
it's rigged already from the beginning,
bingo.
What's the point?
If it's already rigged, if your system is already like so contrived that you can barely explain it, it doesn't make any, it just is.
I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah, if that's the best you got, I'll tell you what you can do with your points.
Stick them where the sun don't shine.
Yeah, they'll tell you. They'll tell you. Ooh, I like the last question.
That's a good one.
For teachers, how effective are the use of points for students who are the least motivated and engaged? How might the use of points, the addition and subtraction throughout a student's day, affect those students' relationships with adults and their self-concept about whether school is, quote, for them?
Points are personal. When you take away or hit at someone's confidence or how they see themselves or portray, if you start that off in the morning before 8:30,
Oh my God.
whoo, it's going to be a rough day. It's going to be a rough Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Points are personal.
And I know it's happening because these kids are getting online and checking their grade multiple times a day.
Yeah, obsessively.
It's like a compulsive behavior. It's like mental illness status. It scares me.
Yeah, they'll get emails from their parents too. If I update something and they're in class, they're like, my parent just called me or my parent just texted me. I'm like, have your parent send me that email. Yeah. We'll talk about it. This is my time right now. I got you. If it's an emergency, 100%, they always will be able to contact your parent. But right now, we're at work. Yeah. I'm at work. You're at work. We got to get our job done.
Yeah. P.S. Parents who, I mean, this isn't for them. This is for teachers. But parents hear this, and people are going to hear this that have kids. But the teacher people hopefully already know. If you text your kid in the middle of the school day, it's distracting them from school.
Yes.
Like, do you want them to be learning or checking their phone?
Exactly.
Leave them alone.
We get the updates. We understand when they need to go pick up brother and they're not going to tutoring after school today. We get it. Yeah. But that's not every day.
It's not every day.
And that's
not all of the things all the time.
And call me or call the office and let them know that their lunch is here. Don't shoot them a message. Have that be through us.
It's so common. It's like,
it's obnoxious
that was
and annoying.
Never, I'm going to do the old man get off my lawn rant right now. Yeah. It was never a thing.
No, my mom would never.
Your parent, you were not reachable.
No.
During the school day. You were at school.
Yeah.
And if your parent needed to talk to you because there was an emergency, you had to walk to the office and pick up a landline phone to talk to your mom. But normally it was just go to the office and they would say, your mom's on her way to pick you up.
Yeah, because we only had, 100 text messages a month? Or else we'd be charged over?
We didn't have text messages.
I had
We're a different age.
my senior year and junior year, I had texting.
Oh, okay. I didn't yet.
We did, but there was no, like, it was all T9. We had to figure out T9.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, oh, was I a master texter without looking?
Oh.
Absolutely. Do I remember what Macbeth is about? Negative, ghostwriter.
My voice gets scratchy when we don't refill the drinks midway through.
Oh.
Good for us for having tea, though, today.
Yeah, it's a good day. October, cleansing the palate with some nice soft bevies.
Can I celebrate a win today with you?
You can.
Shares and
always.
celebrations.
Yay, our glows.
Today, to get dressed for parent-teacher conference, I went to put on my chinos with my dress shirt.
Yeah.
And my chinos are all too big.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Congrats. That's such a good feeling.
It did, it did steer my morning in a different direction schedule-wise, but like pivot.
Yeah.
We'll do jeans and a sport coat. We'll do the Greg House, the House MD look today.
Love it.
Jeans and a sport coat. We can rock that all day long. Some nice boots. House even just wore sneakers with his. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and looked great.
Honestly. Didn't even do his hair half the damn time. Still looked great.
Hugh Laurie's remarkable.
Incredible actor.
Like all the stuff he's done other than that show for which he's best known, his comedy and stuff he did before, and all of those scenes where he's like playing piano or it's really him.
He's so talented.
So talented. Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, those British actors, they get like classically trained in everything.
Start him early.
I just listened to a great, whose podcast was it on? It was an interview with Sir Patrick Stewart.
Cool.
Oh my God. Made me think.
Oh, I love those.
Made me, yeah.
You'll have to send it to me when you remember it.
Yeah. Made me think in a way that people take substances to try to think.
Got it.
And I was like introspective, you know?
Yeah.
It was like a
open new
therapy
doors.
session. Yeah.
Cool.
Like listen to you open your wounds and how that just like prompts me to bare my soul while I'm sitting here in my hot tub listening to a podcast.
Which is so cool.
It is cool that the medium creates opportunities for people that maybe other media won't create. Because to really hear somebody honestly in a long form interview bare their soul or say something just insightful, like it really. And when do we listen to these things? When we're by ourselves doing menial tasks while I'm mowing the lawn, folding the laundry. Those are my big podcast and audiobook times.
Yeah.
Mindless house chores, cleaning bathrooms.
Yep.
Yeah.
House chores.
House chores. But yeah, to get to have those moments and sit and think. And it makes me wonder, like, maybe I hope that this can be that for somebody.
Maybe is that why we're doing this podcast?
Well, that's
This book club, at least?
the book. Well, the whole podcast. I haven't made a trailer video for the podcast yet.
Okay.
And I've thought, like, that's a hard thing to do. But is it really? Because the reason is really simple.
I was about to say, not when you know your why.
Yeah, the why is simple. There's so much information out there. And I think that audio podcasts are a great way to make that information accessible to people. There's
Totally.
stacks on stacks on stacks of books that we could review and study chapter by chapter and get people to know, like, hey, there's information out there. If this book sounds like it's for you, like, maybe check it out. Like, go buy the paperback and do it a chapter at a time, just like we're trying to model. You don't have to sit down and read a whole book on a weekend. Maybe you only have 30 minutes. This chapter's 10 pages long. You can read that in 30 minutes and read the consideration questions at the end and think about it.
Yep.
And then maybe at work you talk about it with your work bestie and you guys go get coffee once a week and that's your thing. What a great way to develop professionally, to get little nuggets of information. Maybe this can be that. I know I listen to podcasts all the time where the podcast the title doesn't say it's about that. And somebody unrelated to the topic will say something remarkably insightful.
Yes.
That I'm like, wow, this guy who builds muscle cars just taught me something about educating children that I'd never considered before. Little nuggets of wisdom, man. And if if I could do that, if I could enjoy sitting and talking to people and learning from them, learning from other teachers, learning from people who are experts, learning from professors, learning from whoever, administrators, anybody, learn from anybody about anything. If I can enjoy doing that and other people get to hear it and there's nuggets of wisdom in it, teaching is hard.
Yeah.
The credential program does not adequately prepare anybody. The job is getting harder every year. There is not enough time to intake all of the information you need to become excellent at what you do and constantly improve, because you have to be developing professionally continuously.
Lifelong learners.
And through your last year on the job.
Yep.
And as soon as you trail off of the professional development, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
Yes.
100%. But we're busy, man. And young people without families are busy with school, and people with families are busy with families, and everybody has a life, whatever that looks like. And it's not healthy to leave work and go home and think about work constantly every day. You got to have some boundaries. You got to have some you time. But if you can go mow the lawn or fold your laundry or clean your bathroom while listening to a podcast on some headphones, and it even just makes you think a little bit about anything, your grading practices, the ways you could improve your classroom, the way you interact with your kids, how AI might benefit your class, anything. Man, criminal justice issues, crime in schools, and anything like that. Could listening to it on a podcast help you improve what you do? I think so.
Totally.
I think so. And that's my why. That's why I changed. I had to start with a name that I knew was a placeholder. And so I was just thinking about what I want this to be and how, it's all connected. It's all connected. Crime in schools there is a connection with grading.
Oh, it's, yeah. That's what school is, right?
Yeah.
Teach. Did they do it? Next. Teach. Did they do it? Next. So those assessments, that is the point of school.
And the school has a function in society. It's where kids spend a lot of their time. They need to have a safe place there. Why are kids committing crime? Why are kids committing crime? Why does a 13-year-old sell drugs? Why do 13-year-olds beat each other up? Why do 6-year-olds lash out? Why does an 8-year-old steal from his teacher? Why do kids do anything ever? It's all related. Start there. And that's why the original title, that's why I started with that. And then when I realized, no, this is about the whole field of education. Everything related to it, everything teaching and learning, because it is all connected. But the system itself needs an overhaul, needs a makeover. There are things that the whole system is doing as a whole that don't work. Yeah. That are not working. And in a lot of ways, we're kind of stuck with a lot of what we got, because a lot of it is a product of the functions of our government.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
In this country and countries with similar systems, a lot of it is a product of the government structured this way, and it set up school districts in a certain way, the same way it set up other government special districts in a certain way. And so it has to function the way it does. It has a governing board, and they are elected, which means they aren't necessarily experts, and they're in charge of this, and they tell this person to do that. Compliance, and budget this, and check boxes that, and, a school district's priorities include pay the bills and don't get sued. Those are on the list of to-dos at every board meeting. Make sure kids get a really good quality education. That's on there too. But so is don't get sued.
School districts are businesses. Teachers are where you get true education.
Yeah, and hopefully you work with a great leadership team that works to give you the support. And to recognize that their role as leaders is support you while also making sure all of the bureaucracy gets handled, that the politics actually support your ability to do your job. Totally. And don't get in the way of it. And the politics, Politics are politics, but it can become an ally if you have a good leadership team that knows how to navigate it.
Totally.
I believe that.
Oh, 100%. I love my admin right now. They're crushing it in that regard.
That's awesome. Mine are doing really well too.
Good.
Anyways, that was a long explanation of why education needs an upgrade. Education Upgrade Podcast.
Level up.
Yeah. Maybe I'll be able to clip some stuff out of that for a trailer. We'll see.
It's safe to assume. I think we had some good gold nuggets in there.
Hopefully. I'll have to think about it, listen to it over and over. It's part of the process. You good on chapter 3?
Chapter 3 is good.
I love it. It's where it first starts getting into the meat of the book. Section 2, part 2, the case for change. How traditional grading thwarts effective and equitable teaching and learning. Mm-hmm. The first one was about points economy and how it relates to trust. And after that, starts going into biases and mathematics and all cheating and all kinds of different topics. I'm excited to keep digging into this book because honestly, it gets better.
Yeah.
And it all fits together. And once you understand the why, if you read those first few chapters in detail, then any of the individual chapters after that make sense.
Absolutely.
But you've really got to get the why.
Yes.
The why. That it's all about, your whole classroom is about seeing the kid as a person. Mm-hmm. It's about a belief. It's about a set of beliefs. I believe that you can do all of this. I believe that you can learn all of this. Mm-hmm. And I want to set up a system that is not in any way in your way. Because it can be. Mm-hmm. Points-based economies, behavior modification in the academic grade, that gets in your way. And you don't even recognize my behavior management's suffering because it's in the way.
Exactly.
Because the way I grade is in the way. And if I get it out of the way, we can work on trust mm-hmm. and better relationships and risk-taking and vulnerability. And that'll build creativity. And then when they build metacognition and enjoy the learning process for what it is and celebrate it, they'll be flooded with positive emotion while learning about the process of learning. And that's where the intrinsic motivation will come from. Mm-hmm. It means inside. It has to come from inside. Mm-hmm. It will not respond to you trying to beat them into compliance.
Mm-hmm. Or giving them a sticker for it.
Yeah. Sticker.
Sticker or a stamp.
I do love me a gold star.
I really actually love my stamps and I won't get rid of them. They're so fun.
They are fun. Mm-hmm. Morgan.
Sir, Mr. Schulke.
Thanks.
Anytime.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you. It's good stuff. This was a good one.
Yeah, it was good.
Now we're going to answer all the retorts in the following chapters of, this doesn't work because of this. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, hey, if people have retorts, I'd love to see some comments. I'm probably going to put a poll on Spotify for this one with a few different questions and try to get some audience feedback.
Cool.
I want to know what people think because, you and I we talk about this the same way we'd talk about it if we were at work in the lunchroom or if we were at the pub. Mm-hmm. It means we go off on tangents. It means we're free to have emotional reactions, mm-hmm. human reactions to stuff. And it makes it a long form. We're over 2 hours. This is our longest one on the book so far.
Cool.
Yeah. It is cool, I think, but it makes it a lot more to listen to.
Yes.
Not everybody wants to hear everything that we have to say. That's fine.
You get something from it, though. I swear.
Yeah, get something from it. Think about it.
I swear you will.
Anything you want to close with?
We're done talking about the why. Now we're going to start talking about the how. And I think that's what I'm excited to focus on, because this is a little bit more of the practical knowledge of how specifically are you going to change what you're doing and what does that look like?
Yeah. And it gives the perfect amount of information to individualize it. Mm-hmm. Because with every subject, like the next chapter's on Traditional grading hides information, invites biases, and provides misleading information. Once you understand why that happens, the how to fix that becomes very obvious.
Yes.
It might be different for you because of what you're teaching, how you're teaching it, how you've graded historically, which varies from person to person. But once you understand how all those things happen, how to fix it becomes, will jump out at you. Like, oh, you're right. There is bias in the assessment rubrics I've been writing. There is bias in how I award extra credit. There's, is this hiding information? Oh yeah, it's making this less accurate because mathematically, like, it makes it easy to figure out. It's easy to individualize when you sit and think about it, but it requires sitting and thinking about it. It's not algorithmic.
Totally.
It requires a little bit of reflection on your teaching practice.
Totally.
Really.
Change is coming.
And
if you don't like it, it's okay. We got to learn to adjust.
And it will point out immediately your greatest areas for improvement. Be ready for that. But it feels so good to know, like, oh, I need to do that better. Okay, I can do that.
And we can do it better.
We can do it better. Yep. Or if I don't know how, I know where to go for help. I work with a bunch of brilliant people. Like, I can try a new idea. I can try a new thing.
Way more hopeful than what it felt like before.
Totally. So, at least 10 more episodes on this book.
On our way.
Keep tuning in. Subscribe. Definitely. And then we'll be on to another topic or another book. I think the book study thing is fun.
It is. It's cool. It gives a really good structure. And with our experience, we're able to fill in some of the concepts with stories.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a little bit
totally
hopefully easier to digest.
Personalized, experience-based stuff. Yeah, books are going to keep coming out faster than we can cover them, but we'll have fun with it.
We'll find the good ones.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, audience. Thanks, Morgan.
Thanks, everybody.
Until next time.
Toodles.
Thank you for watching and listening. We plan to bring you new episodes regularly to continue studying this book and others. To support this project, please subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, and of course, we appreciate all of the likes, reviews, and comments on your favorite podcast platform. You can also buy this book and others using links in the description to support us through Amazon. Thank you again for your time and attention.